Welcome to Repat Stories. I'm Adrienne, your host, and today we're going to be talking to Kian McCoy. She's traditionally a journalist, and now she's doing epic things in the social media space. So we're going to be learning more about her journey from Jamaica to the US and back. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and first of all, I just want to say, people, I'm obsessed with her makeup, with her hair, with her whole look, with her vibe, and I just want to give you a prop for that.
I appreciate it. Thanks for that intro. I didn't know I was at epic things in the social media sphere yet, but thank you.
Absolutely doing so. First of all, we like to establish what it was like growing up in your home country. So for you, that was Jamaica, and you grew up here until you went to college. So tell us about what that was like.
Yeah. So growing up in Jamaica was fine for me. I always had a really good family environment, home environment. I had a good relationship with my mom, my dad, my sister, and very encouraging people whether it came to what I wanted to do for extracurriculars. They always knew or recognized that I wanted to write. When I started the photography, they were like, oh my gosh, and they would post, when I would do printouts for presents, birthday presents and Christmas, they were excited, posting. So I felt very loved growing up, and so when it came to college and going away, you know, a lot of Jamaican parents, you get fed this dream of eventually migrating sometimes, or just, you know, you have family abroad and people are traveling, and it started coming into my I guess my consciousness that, you know, there was this moving away, but they were the first ones that were encouraging me about expanding my horizons. You know, you want to be a writer, maybe you should start thinking about going away and going to school abroad just to get exposure and all of these things. So, but yeah, I love growing up here. I have so many friends as part of why I came back, like all the people that I met throughout all my years in school, and yeah, I'm an island girl, beach and everything, so growing up, Jamaica was a good place for me, and it was very good to me.
Yeah, and you said you grew up in Kingston.
I grew up in Kingston.
So, and you said you travel a lot around the island, which...
Yeah, exactly. So both of my parents traveled for work a lot, and so they were really good. Some of my favorite memories were being pulled out of school to go stay out of town with my mom, whether she was doing some road shows or whatever it was, and so I got to explore and experience a lot, and that's how I knew I was a beach girl, and as much as I like the city life, the fast pace and everything, but getting to escape to a countryside and the beach, and Jamaica is beautiful. Yeah. Very beautiful.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I just want to stop a little bit because you went to Campion, right?
I did.
So Campion College is like it's been known for decades now as like it takes in people who are at the top of their academic achievement game, right? It's very competitive, and so what was it like? Even though you were at such a competitive school, your parents still felt which the idea is that it puts you in a better position.
All of it was the building,
right?
Of the future building, because I think from a very early on they're very forward planning people, and I think early on they knew that they wanted both of their kids to have a foreign education. So that meant, you know, the best prep school, the best high schools, every extracurricular activity, you know, whatever it was. And so I was definitely, my parents were very good at molding.
Okay.
I feel very molded. I feel very
Was that hard
molded.
sometimes? Sometimes the molding can be
it's a lot of pressure.
chafing.
It's chafing, it's pressure, because you don't want to bristle up against, wow, my parents they care about me so much, they invest in so much time, they want me to be so great and everything, and you know, when you don't want to go to swimming today, you're so tired, but mommy is like, you have to go to swimming, we just bought the swimming gears. You have to find it in it, but at that age you don't recognize it as sacrificing and being invested and committing and all of these big terms, but that is what you're being trained to do. And it's not until, as them say, you know, when you get older and you hear mommy's voice in the back of your head and like, wow, she was right. She was right. But,
fair. Yeah. Okay, so all right, so you said that your parents essentially, from the time you got to high school, maybe even before then, they were saying you were going abroad.
Yeah.
To the point where at one point you were telling people at school, like, "Hey, girl, I'm out."
It's actually a really funny story. I remember the other day, like, I think it was around third form. That's when it was really ramping up, because I started hearing about, oh, we could go to boarding school. And then I said, oh, I could do boarding school. That was really interesting. I started reading this YA novel series about the girls, and they were in boarding school and they had the uniforms and all these extracurriculars. And I was like, okay, maybe this migrating thing could work. Maybe it could work. So I remember it just sounded like we were going this weekend. We have appointments. We're doing this. We're doing this. We just talked to grandma, and I was like, wow, do I have to start telling my friends? So I remember the day I started like telling people, guys, I think I'm migrating, and it was so dramatic and sad, and then I just showed up back at school. And eventually it wasn't until college where the ball really got rolling, but this whole time it was a process. So I thought, wow, was I lying to people? Were my parents lying to me? But it's just such a long process. I think a lot of people think you just get up one day and migrate. You just show up at the embassy and you get filed for.
The relatives abroad say, I'm filing for you, and then the next
them just pull you up, pack you in a suitcase. But no, it is a long lifetime process for a lot of people. And then later on, that plays into the guilt of, wow, I think I might want to come back. I think I don't want to be here.
All right, so we'll come to that. We'll come to that. So you're gearing up to go. You said your grandmother was there already. All right. So you've done all your prep. You said that even when you finished high school, you took an extra year or semester off to do that preparation, prepare for that. Was it just to do like test prep and apply, or were there other factors at play?
So, the trajectory is you finish fifth form and you either, you go to pre-UE or you take your work or whatever it was. So I was on that trajectory. I thought I wanted to go away in the same timeline as everybody. So this would have been fall 2014 if I stayed on the timeline. And I got into a school that I wanted to go to, and then started accepting letters. And I remember my mom was like, I don't think we should go there. I don't think we should go to this school. So there was.
Can you say the name of the school? Because it was a big deal.
So there were two schools. There was LIU Post that was in Brooklyn. I wanted to do journalism there because it was in the city, and then there was a school far away. When I thought I wanted to absolutely run, since you guys are making me go away to school, I'm gonna go far and I'm gonna go explore. There was somewhere in like Oregon.
Oh, I see.
And my mom was like, I'm not sending you to Oregon. And then I think if I went to the school in Oregon, I would have been like an English degree. So she was like, I'm not sending you away to do an English degree. And I also got accepted to Karimak. I accepted that as well because I put all my eggs.
So Karimak is the Caribbean.
Karimak is at UE.
At UE,
yeah.
So in Jamaica.
I was trying to spread because there was a point where I said, I don't think I have the grades to go overseas. I don't think, champion or not, I was seeing my peers hearing the 2400s, the 1900s on the SATs, and I think at my highest I was clocking like 17, and so
which is about midway.
And you just because of the environment of campion, the pressure, the overachieving, I wrote myself off. I was like, I don't think I can go away. Let me just go to Karimak. I'm already here. Just transition. It's still journalism, so it's a compromise, but a compromise that would make me feel more comfortable. And my mom was like, "Don't limit yourself. Don't sell yourself out. Let's take the time." Her name is Heather McCoy.
Miss Heather, big up you. Big up you, Miss Heather.
She had the vision. She always had the vision, and she always believed in. I think she could see it. She always believed in me a little bit more than I could for myself. And when you're younger, you just feel like she's fighting you out, and she's not letting you do what you want to. But no,
which there is some of that.
There is some of that.
They have the vision with
They have the vision, and
it's for a reason.
Yeah, and it's not even just parents. It's anybody who is watching you from a third party. They don't have the voices in the head. They just see how you're moving, and so other people can validate you in that way. But
that's so true.
Yeah, and so we got to the agreement that let's take the time off, let's do it properly, let's reevaluate. You're not confident in your SAT scores, let's go to SAT classes. And so we started at AIM, and then we narrowed down that we think we want to go to Stony Brook. It's in a familiar area, grandma is close by if I feel like I can't manage or whatever it was, and that was the plan, and some other schools. But I think the second time around I might have applied to probably 10 schools, a good amount. And I got accepted to 6. So it was,
More than 50%.
yeah, and so the second time around I had more options, and then we got
And that
into,
settles you a little bit more
it
too,
does,
right? It doesn't
it
just
does.
feel like, oh, I have to take the, like only 2 people want me.
Yeah.
So it feels less demoralizing.
And then even in the first crop, I got accepted to some schools, and they were giving me like $3,000 scholarships to the private schools way up north, like Syracuse and all those places. But it still wouldn't make sense.
makes
And
sense,
you know, in hindsight, you realize that parents were just trying to help you make it make sense. And adults are people. They're not always going to know the best way to say things or the best approach. They might not recognize that you need a soft approach, which is something I recognize that I needed the whole time, because I wasn't rebelling against my parents, or
Right.
I wasn't unaware of the opportunities to go away, but I wanted it to make sense for me. But
Right.
yeah, so with the second time around getting accepted, and Stony Brook was the choice on everybody's side, and we got there, and my parents were like, we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this happen. So we went full gear, and I ended up at Stony Brook, and yeah, the rest is really history.
All right.
I don't regret it at all.
So let's take
I
a
must
step
say.
back.
Yeah.
All right, you're studying, but you were looking at degrees, and I remember you telling me that your parents, like, we had a moment, we had to come to acceptance of journalism.
Yeah.
That was funny to me, because you said, what were you thinking of photography?
So in my original I'm running away plan, I was going to go to NYU. I was going to study photography, actually, because I wanted to be a fashion photographer. I had photography dreams, like that was and then again, parents step in and say, think a little bit wider, think a little bit broader, don't limit yourself in those ways. And so we were battling, do I want to do law, do I want to do psychology, whatever it was. And it wasn't Stony Brook that made me choose journalism, but looking at the other programs at the New York schools, and then I was like, oh, journalism has photography, has film, has writing, has everything, and so it would be a good jump off point for me.
Yeah.
And so it was full speed. I wanted to do journalism, and then I had to convince my parents, which I didn't think I would have to do at first, because journalism even sounds fancy.
Right.
This is like, oh, that sounds good. My daughter's a journalist.
Right.
But yeah, I guess they still weren't sure
Like
what
how you make a living.
yeah, what do I want to do with the journalism degree. And it wasn't until close to time to leave for school, my dad was like, Kian, you know, we watch the news every night.
That was
We
so
watch the
funny.
news every night, so I get it. It's true. Journalism is important. We need
Right.
journalists. And I was like, thanks, Dad. Thanks. I'm glad we got there.
Right. It took us a while, but we got
It took
there.
us a little while, because I was still feeling like, wow, yes, we're going away, and everybody's going to benefit. My parents get their dream of, oh, my daughter's going away to school. We're doing our job as parents. She's going to get this good education. But I was like, oh, they're not going to be fully supportive of me. But we turned around, and yeah, it was full force ahead. When I started school, and I was showing them the newsroom and the computers and the microphones and the cameras and the studio, it was, they're like, oh my gosh, can't wait to see you on CNN. Yeah, so
Parents are so funny.
parents are hilarious. Parents are hilarious. Parents are really funny.
that.
They have such big dreams for their
I
kids.
know. And you know what? They have to, because we don't even get it.
No, we don't.
We don't even get it. Like,
Yeah.
they've seen enough, so they have to know, and they know what's possible.
They know what's
we
possible.
literally can't imagine sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and I love that it was the opposite way, because for some people, they have these big dreams, and the parents, their minds
Yeah.
are like this small.
They can't see that
Yeah,
far.
so I love that. I love
Yeah.
that it was almost like the opposite, or at least equal, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, so we are at Stony Brook. This was, you'd visited the U.S. before?
Yeah, so I've always had family that lived abroad, so I got to travel for summer. You know, you go and you do your back to school shopping, you get
Right.
your shoes, and you walk around in the Payless,
Right.
and you get your books and all of that. So
Right.
I was familiar with New York, which
Right.
is where Stony Brook is.
Right.
But I didn't visit the school. I didn't do a school tour. I didn't do anything. It was a dream. I would be on the 360
Right.
virtual tours, just looking at all the pictures, going.
Yeah.
Did they have an Instagram at that time? Because this is 2015.
Yeah, maybe
This
they
is
did, but
so
maybe
it probably wasn't very popular, but so I was just soaking up as much over the internet as possible.
Yeah.
And I started as an international student, and they usually have you on campus like the week before.
Okay.
So we have a longer orientation process. The week I started, there was a blizzard.
I believe it. You started in January.
I started in
right?
January.
Yeah.
This is me. Winter is in December.
Right.
So Christmas, white Christmas. It's gonna snow in Christmas.
Right.
This I started. I can tell you because the holidays. It's right before Martin Luther King. So that's like the 17th or so.
Yeah.
Snow blizzard.
Oh my gosh.
And international students are the only ones on campus.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I was one of 3 people plus RAs in my building. Never seen snow before. And the snow was up to the doors.
Oh my goodness. And were you still expected to go out to the events?
Yeah,
dining
but
hall?
you know, they were very good with clearing,
Okay.
but just seeing it happen overnight,
Yeah.
I did not know that snow did that.
Oh my god.
I didn't know that snow piled.
Yeah. Right?
I just thought it fell and then it was on the ground
And
and
it's
then
pretty.
it melts and it goes away. But wow.
It's there.
Yeah, great.
That's so funny. So that was an adjustment.
Oh wow.
That was an adjustment.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe it. So you're there and you say you started as an international student. Were you the only Jamaican at the time? Do you know?
From the international cohort, I think I was the only first generation Jamaican in my cohort. I met a lot of people from Africa. One of my closest friends at the time, she was from Nigeria. So that was really exciting because I think when you think of going away to school, the first thing you're excited to do is meet people from different countries all over the world. And so starting international gave me that off the bat.
Yeah.
Stony Brook has I think at the time, the highest demographic was Asian students.
Yes.
And so it was students from China, India, Pakistan. And it was just so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, all these people, everybody's so
Right.
different. And so it wasn't until full semester started there, I started to meet other Jamaicans, second generations. I even met some people that went to Campion that we weren't in the
neat.
same year, but
Neat.
people from other high schools. And so I was worried about feeling like, a fish out of water, but they immediately found other Caribbean people and real Caribbean people.
That's shade, y'all. That's not the Caribbeans.
Not the Caribbeans and the Oxtails.
And the
I'm
Oxtails.
talking about people who have lived experience in the Caribbean because
my
you will adopt the culture of your people, especially if your family is very Caribbean, and that's what you learn.
Right.
There are people who do feel connected because their family has the culture. They still speak patois or whatever it is. They travel.
Right.
So there's actually 3 demarcations. I would say there's like 3.
Yes.
But
yes.
so it was a very good start. It was a very good start.
All right.
Yeah.
So you said you were there for 3 years. You were on campus.
I lived on campus for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Right.
And at that point, so you were international for the whole 3 years?
I was international for the first year, and then, like a thief in the night, the papers came through.
Right.
And so that kind of made a lot of the adjustment a little bit easier in terms of financing school, because Stony Brook is a public school, so there's no international scholarships really. You have to be some kind of amazing, high achieving person. And remember, it started with me not thinking I had enough grades. So eventually we were able to get in-state tuition and just everything was adjusted, and so there was a lot less pressure. There was a lot less pressure overall from both me, like there's a pressure, I can't get below a B,
Right.
I have to go to every class, I can't be sick, all of these things. So
Right.
eventually, not that I took advantage.
Right. Go to every class.
Go
kids.
to every
class,
class.
kids.
All you do, don't take 8 a.m.s. If you can avoid it. 8 a.m. in high school in the Caribbean and in college in the States.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that eventually the ghost of the migration,
Right.
it actually caught up, and it was, I would say it was worth it for the main purpose of getting us through school.
Right.
But it especially helped my sister who came up after me. She finished school out here, and then she was able to start in a year. She did a final year of high school, so her college process was so much easier than mine. She got scholarships, she got the pick, she got
What's her name?
Her name is Keisha.
Keisha, big up you.
Big up sis. Nurse K.
Oh.
Yeah. I know she's a nurse.
Oh my gosh.
So
amazing.
yeah, so it was definitely, you see the vision. You get what your parents were trying to do for you, because I the exposure of just, yes, it started as I wanted to do a journalism degree, but I still didn't know how to evolve with it. I wanted to be a writer, but I knew I did not want to write hard news. So as much as mommy and daddy wanted to see me on CNN and TVJ News, primetime news with Deion Jackson Miller and whoever, I did not think that was for me.
Yeah.
And it was being in school and it was the first time that I heard that entertainment journalism is real journalism.
A real thing.
Entertainment journalism is news, and it's not just gossip magazines.
Right.
You can be really, really deep about it. You can talk about the business. You can talk about the law. You can talk about the ethics.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what's happening with UMG and TikTok.
Yeah.
So I am glad for that experience and that exposure that I got, and just hearing from different people what their aspirations are.
Right.
People who were living in a country that allows you to dream big, especially New York, where everybody is dreaming big. So you really hear like, this is what people are thinking. This is what people are thinking. So that exposure was awesome. And then, I think the goal is for people who don't necessarily want to migrate and stay, you want to soak up and bring it back. Bring it back to wherever your home country is and start the development there to create the life that you experience in your home country, so people don't have to leave to get that. Yeah.
Oh, love that. She's a visionary, people, because everyone doesn't have that vision, right? Some people just, it's about me, and that's fair, especially when it's been hard coming up. It's like they don't necessarily think to say, oh, I could bring something back, I could do something. But
and I know it's lofty, it's lofty, and it sounds like, oh, this girl, she living a pipe dream and she thinks she's a savior. It's really not. It's really not that. It's just, it's possibilities. Because yes, it's about you. You live this life. You went to school, you went to work, and you want to better your life for your family. But in doing so, there's always a little impact you can leave. There's always a little knowledge you can impart. And even if you don't come back, you want to visit Jamaica and be able to be, or wherever you're from, and you want to visit and be like, wow, like this would be so good if Jamaica had this, and whether it's efficient banking or or just whatever it is, ticket system, just you want to be aspirational for yourself and the places that you live, the places where you exist.
Fair. Okay. So no, you're fine. So all right, so you, after you got your, I guess, a green card, it is, so you're living with your grandma, you're commuting to school, you finished this 5-year degree.
It took me, it's a 4-year degree, but it took me 5 years. There's a running joke at Stony Brook that the journalism program, if you finish in 4 years, you're a superstar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is very rigorous. It's a very rigorous, very detailed program. And then it was a small faculty, so sometimes classes are only offered once a semester. So that was a whole nother drama with me finishing in the 5 years, because just time and money and guilt, like, oh, we only planned for the 4 years and it's taken me a whole other year, and so much guilt, so much to work through with my parents. And I'm just really grateful that they never made me feel like a burden or like a wasting them time. They were always so supportive.
Oh gosh, because you put a lot of pressure on yourself too, so if they were also adding to that and you feel like it's legitimate, like that can really, and sometimes all you do with that pressure is just paralyzed. Like you have things to do, but you literally just you can't.
And I definitely had those moments, like when you can look back, and now that I've been removed from that experience so long and I'm starting to reflect, I'm like, wow, I definitely had moments where I shut down, as you say, and there are gaps just from stress and just overworking yourself, and you get to a point of being paralyzed. You don't know what to do. And I wish if your mother was there to tell me just do the next best move, I probably wouldn't have been so stuck so many times.
So I was saying to Kian before that my mother is like, one of her favorite things to say is just, at each point, just take the next best step, right? Regardless of if it's big or small, regardless of what the bigger goal is, it's just to take the next best step. So okay, so all right, you finished 5 years, and now it's 2020, and you think you're gonna come back.
So I didn't. 2020 happened, and I was still working. I was working as a sales rep at Pier 1 Imports, gorgeous furniture store. I loved it so much. I went to work and I was decorating and smelling candles and like helping people decorate their guest rooms in their Long Island homes, their holiday, whatever. And I was comfortable enough that, oh, this is my between job. You know, we're gonna start doing internships because I graduated in 2020. That was my slated graduation.
Right.
And then pandemic.
Right.
And so that was March, as we know, and graduation is May. Graduation is May, so we still had to make it to the timeline, and we shut down at work for 2 weeks, and then we just never went back to work.
Yeah.
And eventually, Pier 1 went bankrupt. So there was no Pier 1 to go back to. There was a point where I was like, wow, I kind of want to be the store manager. Like, I can see myself developing here. You know, the interior decoration was really fun for me. It was a good outlet. It was good. People don't like their retail experience, but it was
Let's
pretty
pause.
good.
Let's talk about that,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things I love about life. It's like you get these experiences, because I know you can decorate a room, right?
Yeah.
But you went to college, and that had nothing to do with
Nothing
you
to
being
do with it.
with
Nothing
college.
to do with it.
But that will also play into your creativity with how you do
That's
the
exactly
work
why I
you do
loved it.
now, and
Yeah.
like. That's so amazing, like working with color and working with
So
texture.
that's the thing,
and
that
working
I've
with-
always loved playing with colors, but I never found a way to do it. And
so good.
how we end up in the content creation, social media, it started with the colors.
Yeah.
It started with the colors. It started with making color palettes and just arranging things and playing with squiggly lines and scents and all of that. And so it was important. It was just supposed to be, oh, I'm ready for a part-time job. I can get a legal work and then something there. And I ended up loving it.
That's awesome.
And then COVID snatched it.
Oh,
Snatched it from me. And how I ended up saying, wow, do I have to come back home, was I just had no idea what to do next. I had my virtual graduation, so we didn't get that offboarding. Do you have an internship? Did you talk to the career counselor? I wasn't even sure if the career center was still open.
Lord.
I was just trying to figure out this COVID thing at the time, and at one point I was like, maybe I have to go home. I was getting really depressed being inside, because New York was the epicenter for a long time, if we remember. It was terrifying going outside.
I know, the death rate was terrible.
Everything was just coming down really, really hard, and not that Jamaica was like doing much better,
Right.
but at least
You were home.
I was home, because
Like outside it's warm.
my mom was home at the time. My
Yeah.
dad was still here, and it was my sister and I at my grandma's house, and it was really difficult. We were both working in retail at the time, so we both lost our jobs, and we had to do the unemployment and the stimulus checks, and it was dire. It was dire. Like, how do we move on from here? I just finished school.
Right.
I just finished school. This was supposed to be my jump off.
Right.
Like, my career is supposed to start now, and so I said, let me try going home.
Yeah.
Let me just see how that can work, because my mom, she's the business administrator at a cardiology clinic.
Okay.
So she always was always asking me to help her write the articles that they would post, and she would just ask me for my opinion on the marketing front, because she's a marketing business administration amazing person. HR, everything business.
Yeah.
That's Heather McCoy.
Yeah.
Business, girl boss. That's my mom. And so when I came home, I was like, let me do this officially.
Yeah.
Like, would you try and take me on as an employee?
Yeah.
And so started working part-time at the clinic, but even before that, how could I forget the most pivotal part? In 2018, actually, advice on Mummy again.
Yeah.
Mummy, you know, she
It's not that big of you.
she knows.
Your work.
She knows. She's gonna sit back and be like, I know. Yeah, but she sent me an internship for a marketing agency called Lucrolux. That was 2018.
Out here
in Jamaica.
Okay.
So I was still in school. This is 2018, and I applied and I said, I'm only here for summer.
Right.
I can work with you for a month and a couple of weeks, and
But that's all you need.
I got interviewed and I got the job, and I was like, marketing? Do I love this? Is this me?
Right.
Because I got to use my writing skills and be creative, come up with witty copy, and that's when I was like, copywriting?
Yes.
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
It's a thing. And that internship was where I was just like, this is how I use my journalism
Yeah.
and use my creativity and
Yeah.
use my curiosity and
Yeah.
all of that. And I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so that was supposed to just be the summer from the beginning of August to the end of August. And when it was supposed to end, I remember reaching out to my boss and saying, I know you don't usually do this, but can we try and do a remote thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, you can try it. And he allowed me to do it for a couple months.
Love that.
And it was really awesome until it got hard.
Yeah.
It was awesome until it got
stuff?
hard. School. Because that semester, I remember vividly, I finally got into one of those once a year classes.
Okay.
And it was the hardest class.
Oh my gosh.
It was a class where we had to spend, every week we had to do a full-length story with video, multimedia, website building.
Website building on top of the...
So we had to manage the website that we uploaded the stories.
Got
yeah,
you.
so it was a
That's
really involved
lot.
class.
And that's just one class.
And that was just one class. And
That's
that was my 8 a.m. class.
She's traumatized, guys.
Traumatized.
Can you tell?
And at that point, I was already commuting.
Oh.
So I was commuting. I was commuting. I was working. I was involved in campus activities. I was trying to do this remote job. So
So you have to let it go.
yeah, I
That's fine.
eventually, and there was a lot of guilt. I deal with a lot of guilt about these
That's fair.
things. Yeah, and just wanting to represent myself well and do my best. And I called him crying like, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's working. I feel really bad. I know I'm behind. And he was just like, you're struggling. You're young. Like I know it was an adjustment and everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for recognizing that you couldn't handle it, and thank you for letting me know. And I was just like, wow. And that was a really good experience.
Yeah, you did a good thing, which is to communicate, because a lot of people when they're struggling, they just disappear.
That was one of the first times that I noticed that I was doing that shutdown thing. And it was my sister again, big up Keisha, who was like, I think you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I think you are overwhelming yourself. And then I did some hard email sending, some hard phone calls, put up my big girl pants for real.
Right.
But I needed to because I wasn't going to do the position justice.
Right.
I wasn't going to do the company justice or myself.
Wow.
I was so tired.
Yeah.
I was so tired.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. So, I mean, I'm just, I'm happy that you had people in your life that gave you grace too. Even when you're hard on yourself, like it helps when the people, because you're not doing it for yourself, but the people around you can help too.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
I definitely feel lucky for that, because I know that's not always the case. People,
It's so true.
people are mean.
Oh
people
my
are
gosh,
mean.
people are mean, and people will see that you're struggling and then choose to be mean because of that. I don't want to see you cry.
They do.
You literally have people like that.
They're like, this is an opportunity to show my power over this person.
Gosh. Yeah, that's real. All right. So you were COVID